asked Todd to let me share with you what happened last weekend. Most of you probably noticed I went off the deep end.
I'm Sarah, and
I've been having a really hard time.
grew up mostly here in Vermont, in the Northeast Kingdom, Craftsbury. Yay, Craftsbury! That's a big ski town, so I did a lot of skiing in high school and some in college. And now I have 3 kids, an 8-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. And I'm married and living in Jeffersonville.
I just want to say, I've been having a really hard time.
Growing up, I attended the church in Elmore, the United Methodist Church in Elmore, and I would have always said that I believed in God. And they talked about having Jesus in your heart, which I'm kind of a black and white person, so I literally thought, well, that doesn't work for me. Jesus in my heart does not make sense. So I didn't really understand that part. And although I loved God, I don't think anyone really clearly explained having a relationship with Jesus to me. So when I got to college at UVM, and I fell in with the InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, that was the first time I actually heard somebody talk about an actual relationship, like you could kind of be friends with God type thing through Jesus. And I mulled that one over for part of my freshman year. And you know, being at college, you kind of find your way and try to make your way and meet a whole lot of different people and hear a lot of new ideas. And I got to a point, probably a few months into college, sometime during the winter time, where I was kind of at a crisis place, and God, I was in my room praying and reading the scriptures, and God kind of brought me an understanding to where I saw the rest of my life sort of unfold before me. And I heard in my spirit, you are trying to make yourself happy, and it leads to death. You can't make yourself happy. And I saw this unhappiness unfold before me, kind of like in a tunnel. And I realized, I can't make myself happy. So I said, God, I give up. I give up trying to make myself happy. Trying out these new ideas that I've been hearing and just making my own way. And that was it. I'm not sure really. He kind of took it from there. It's been really cool. I mean, that's just started a phase of healing in my life. And he's taken me through different seasons of healing.
Numbness and tingling in my arms is keeping me awake, has been keeping me awake. But last weekend, I just came here so desperate to see Jesus.
Having had a third child has really rocked my boat pretty hard. My 2 boys and I were cruising, and along comes number 3, and we wanted her, and we're so glad to have her. But you know, little baby is throwing my world in turmoil. I actually ended up getting diagnosed with postpartum depression. I had been having a whole lot of trouble sleeping at night. My arms were tingling and numb, keeping me awake. I was having a lot of trouble falling back asleep once I got woken up. So, you know, 2 to 6 hours of sleep a night doesn't work real well. Homeschooling came to a massively grinding halt. Things weren't getting done around the house, and I was just totally stressed out. So I almost didn't come to church 2 Sundays ago. The baby doesn't nap very well in general, and coming to church is really overstimulating and makes it even harder for her to nap. So, but one thing I learned in college was that scripture where it says not to forsake the fellowship of the saints. And so, you know, in college I saw some things in the church that I didn't like, and I wanted to quit going to church, and God really impressed that on me, that no, you go to church because there's strength. We're there to edify the body and edify one another. There's never going to be a perfect church. And he brought that back to me a couple Sundays ago. So out of principle, I came. And when I got here in worship, I realized that I just needed to see Jesus, because I've been through tough times before. Like I said before, God's done a lot of healing in my life. And really the one thing that grounds me, the one thing that changes me, and the one thing that just gets me through anything is Jesus' beautiful face, to just catch a glimpse of his beauty. And the only way I know how to do that is to worship him. So when I came in, Pastor Todd had chosen songs about Jesus being victorious and about having breakthrough and freedom, and that really just caught my spirit a lot. And then I just started worshiping. I came down to the front, and like I told the people a couple weekends ago, I went a little off the deep end, just a tad. You get a front row seat on that. So yeah, yelling and screaming and waving my arms and God only knows what else. But honestly, I was so focused on just acknowledging who he was, because who he is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that can change me, and it's the only thing that can change the world around us, right? And so I saw who he was. I did. I worshiped him, and I was just crying out for myself because of how grungy and disgusting I felt inside, and crying out for a young friend whom I had just heard a couple days ago. He's only 8 and he had stopped eating. He was that sick. And I was just like, God, you know, this kid, he's innocent. He's just a kid. You know, if it was his parents, I would be really sad that something bad was happening to them, but they're adults, they can handle it. He's innocent, he's just a kid. No way, you know? And so I was declaring God's freedom and victory over him and over myself. And, you know, in a nutshell, I guess I decided to make God God over my life, instead of looking at my circumstances and saying, oh, my life is so bad. I haven't slept more than 4 hours in 4 hours a night in 3 days. That just kind of all got shoved aside, which was great, and I was able to focus on Jesus. So it was just a really powerful encounter for me, and I left. I have to say, I left church feeling so much peace, so much more peace than I had in weeks. And it wasn't until the next day that I realized that I had passed the night without any tingling and numbness in my arms, which was amazing. And because I've been to the chiropractor and that helps some, but I was still experiencing some tingling and numbness. And I had also been able to get back to sleep a lot more than I had in the last several weeks after being woken up. And then the next night, the same thing happened again. I had no more tingling and numbness, and I was able to get back to sleep once I'd been woken up even more. And both Monday and Tuesday, I had so much peace and some joy too. I mean, even joy, like it was crazy. And I realized, wow, God healed me. God healed me in worship, and I didn't even ask to be healed. I wasn't praying for healing. I was just there trying to catch sight of the beauty of Jesus, and he healed me.
But when you can see the face of God, right? Everything, it doesn't matter, right? Just like Stephen, he was being stoned, right? But he saw Jesus, and he was okay, right?
But I have to say, I'm finding myself in a place of having to walk out this sort of new faith in making God God over my life on a daily basis, and not letting go of the fact that I saw him and that I can see him through worship. And ultimately, I feel like I'm trying to figure out the way of giving him the most airtime or press time in my life, and putting him above my concern for my sleeplessness. or any other thing that might stress me out, you know? And so just walking out that healing, I guess, day by day and even hour by hour sometimes is important. And I'm planning on having the victory there too.